Hello everybody, this is Jason Artiga and this is another episode of Cinema Macabro YouTube channel. The film I'm going to review is the cult horror film from 1977, Shockwaves, directed by Kevin Wiederhorn. 1977 was a remarkable year for horror. You had Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes, Dario Argento's Suspiria, David Lynch's Eraserhead, the film Hausu, The Sentinel. The list goes on and on and on. 1977 was pretty much a transitional period for horror films, being that we were going from the low-budget, atmospheric horror films to the blood and gore and guts of the slasher film, especially after makeup effects gotten better and better during the late 70s. However, what sets this period of atmospheric horror films different than the rest was it's solely relying on great synth music, great cinematography, and acting. There was no pretty jump scares or anything cheesy along the lines. It was pretty much a slow burn horror film that we were getting during this period. And during this time, synths like the Prophet 5 or the Moog or the Mini Moog or the Juno were the tools used by a lot of filmmakers for a lot of these horror films that gave it this unique feel and sound. Like film author John Carpenter and music composer, he used the Prophet 5 and a Moog for a lot of his early films like Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween, The Fog, and yet this became the staple of 70s horror, which eventually moved into more digital synthesizers of the 80s. Now, what sets Shockwave apart from many of the horror films of this year was pretty much that it was the first Nazi zombie film ever made. The film has an amazing cast. I mean, you have both John Carradine and Peter Cushing in the same horror film, along with other veteran actors such as Brooke Adams, who was a veteran TV actor during the time. She plays Rose. The film is shot throughout coastal areas in Florida. In 1975, it started principal photography for a budget of $150,000. The film begins with two fishermen who find Rose, played by Brooke Adams, who's disheveled, dehydrated, and traumatic from an experience that happened days before. So on this flashback, you're pretty much introduced to the other tourists who were part of this boat that Rose was in. And you have, Chuck, Norman, Keith, Beverly, and Dobbs, who was pretty much the ship's mate. Now, Captain Ben, played by John Carradine, he has a commercial boat that does tours, and it's pretty much a rust bucket. And some of the passengers are not too happy about it. He's pretty much your atypical, crusty old captain who has tons of experience and possibly a drinking problem. So things quickly go awry when this orange mist predominates the sky into this monochromatic color. And the ship's captain, played by John Carradine, sees this and he's pretty skeptic about it, saying that there's definitely an explanation for this. Later on, they pretty much get into a collision with some ghost ship. When the captain launches a flare, he sees that it's a decayed old vessel and that it pretty much ruptured their whole hull. So they have to get to the coast, close to the coast, and the captain pretty much disappears in the next morning. A group of tourists, along with the captain's mate and the second in command, decide to go look for the captain on this desolate island, and they encounter this abandoned hotel. And in the abandoned hotel is this presence of a German man played by Peter Cushing, who happens to be a Nazi SS captain, telling them that they have to leave. What we see later on is that his character pretty much was a handler of these undead Nazi zombies, and they were made from condemned criminals to fight the war and win. However, the U-boat got struck off the coast of Florida and they sank. When we're introduced to the antagonist of the story, we see that they're undead Nazis, impervious to bullets and all the elements, and they're pretty much marching on the water. Stalk our main characters in this island and kill them one by one. Again, I will say this. Shockwaves is different from a lot of films that I saw. It's pure atmosphere. You don't have gore, blood, guts, but you have a really good cast, really good cinematography, and a great soundtrack that make this film memorable, and it'll definitely creep you out. First and foremost, I gotta say that the cast is phenomenal. They're on their A game. Brooke Adams makes a great lead, or final girl. Peter Cushing and John Carradine, again, they will always be rock stars of horror. Ruben Train does a remarkable job on his cinematography. Because of the low budget, 16mm was the choice of film gauge to shoot, and they used Super 16, and you can see a lot of grain in it, and it just blends into the atmosphere. The colors of this movie are amazing. Like the daytime scenes are really nicely done. I love the film stock that they use, and Ruben Train tends to use the composition in such tableau ways. Like this one scene where the Nazi zombies rise up from the water and you have all of them on frame, and it's just so damn creepy because they're slightly underexposed, and what you don't see in the film works out. You know, it's like you see these zombies, they're just men in like waterproof makeup, but they're creepy as hell. And what adds to that is the soundtrack. Richard Einhorn's synth soundtrack to this movie is creepy and brings up the atmosphere to this film 100%. And it goes from a slow burn to a really good pace towards the end. I really like this film. This film has been traumatic to me as a child because I saw it in Chiller Theater on WWOR Channel 9 in New York City. Chiller Theater, it came out on Saturday, and the movie gave me nightmares. I vaguely remember, even before then, I saw the TV spots to this film when it was out in the theaters. So by all means, see Shockwaves. It's a damn good cult film, and for a low budget film, it just looks like a bigger film than what it should be. Everything from its locations to like this abandoned hotel down in the Florida coast to the swamp, everything about it is just makes this film memorable. Kevin Wiederhorn is a great director, and you can see how he really works with a great cast in this small budget film that looks bigger than what it really is. Now guys, if you like this review, leave a like down below, leave a comment down below, and I just gotta say thank you for watching during this pandemic, and I will continue to create content for you people. Many of you are probably staying home, working from home, or unemployed. Again, just stay tuned to my channel. I'll get your minds off it, and until then, I'll see you guys at the next episode, and please subscribe. God bless each and every one of you.